There are a lot of buzzwords and hype in crypto at the moment, such as ZK or ZK proofs, real-world assets, deep-in, AI, airdrops, etc. And one that we'll be looking at in this video is BRC-20 tokens. So what we're going to look at is what BRC-20 tokens are, the huge growth of them, what the largest examples of top performing ones on the Bitcoin blockchain are, where you can buy BRC-20 tokens, the advantages and disadvantages of them, whether BRC-20 tokens can compete with ERC-20 tokens on Ethereum, and we'll look at the possible future of BRC-20 tokens, because a lot of people wouldn't have imagined being able to build on Bitcoin's blockchain the way BRC-20 tokens and ordinals are, and some people think it just shouldn't happen. And this video does continue on from my previous video on ordinals that you can find a link to here and in the description. So do watch that first before this one, as it explains how these were created in the first place. Please do like this video and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to offer more content for you in future. And let's jump straight in and take a look at BRC-20 tokens. A new type of Bitcoin ordinal was created in March 2023, which was the BRC-20 token. It was created by someone anonymous called Domo, initially as just a fun experiment. And the difference between an ordinal and a BRC-20 token is essentially that rather than inscribing an image, video, or text, for example, onto a Satoshi as data, BRC-20 tokens are ordinals with JSON code that are inscribed to individual sats and allow users to mint, deploy, and transfer tokens. And JSON code stands for JavaScript Objection Notation. So the main difference between an ordinal NFT and a BRC-20 token is that an ordinal will contain an image, piece of music, video, or text, for example, that's inscribed onto a Satoshi, whereas a BRC-20 token can contain millions of units of one token, which is pretty impressive. And you can see the split up here on Bitcoin of traditional BTC, inscription ordinals, and BRC-20 tokens. And whereas BRC-20 tokens are mostly just meme tokens at this early stage, they became incredibly popular, and BRC-20 tokens had over $1 billion in market cap by May 2023, which caused Bitcoin transaction fees to increase in price and slow the network down, which is one of the large disadvantages of these BRC-20 tokens and ordinal NFTs. But the current market cap of BRC-20 tokens is over $2.4 billion at the time of recording this video. So it's more than doubled in about 9 months, with over $280 million in trading volume in the past 24 hours alone, which again has increased significantly in the past few months, as you can see here. And there have been more than 14,000 BRC-20 tokens created in total. And if we look at the graph here of the first 200 days since the first Bitcoin ordinal was inscribed and the amount of inscriptions since, and compare this to the first 200 days after the first NFTs were minted on Ethereum, Solana, and Polygon, we can see, thanks to Galaxy Research, that Bitcoin was way above these blockchains. So it's an extremely strong start. So what is the largest BRC-20 token by market cap? Well, that is Ordi, which is the first and largest BRC-20 token to use the Ordinals protocol, with a market cap now of over $1 billion. It's a meme coin, because it was the first, essentially represents the new capabilities and opportunities of ordinal NFTs and BRC-20 tokens. And according to CoinGecko, it is up over 1,788% since September 2023, when it hit its all-time low. It has a max supply of 21 million tokens, just like Bitcoin. So it's a good idea to look at what this project is doing and how it's building, given it's the first one, as well as other BRC-20 projects, as there's a lot of growth and BRC-20 projects being built on Bitcoin. For example, there is now the similarly named ORDI-ZK BRC-20 token also, that links the BTC and ETH networks, so you can send decentralized transactions using the ORDI-ZK bridge technology both ways for ERC-20 and BRC-20 tokens. Transfers between Ethereum and BRC-20 tokens are private, hence the ZK or ZK part of its name. So maintain complete anonymity and zero disclosure of who you are. As with all bridges, let's see how secure it is moving forward though. But another example of a BRC-20 token bridge is Multibit, which is a more established BRC-20 token with a market cap of over $111 million. And this also operates on Ethereum, the BNB Smart Chain, Solana, and Polygon. So where can you buy BRC-20 tokens? Well, most BRC-20 tokens can be bought on decentralized or centralized exchanges. However, you may need to use an ordinals wallet, such as OKX or Unisat, to name just two. So we've covered many advantages of BRC-20 tokens by looking at the large adoption and growth in a short period of time. But the largest advantage of BRC-20 tokens has to be that they're on Bitcoin, which is the most decentralized, secure, and trusted blockchain in crypto. So should be the ideal one to build on as a starting point. And we could also look at potential future developments and use cases of BRC-20 tokens. For example, there could be use cases in DeFi transactions too. So things like lending platforms, DEXs, etc., which may do well here moving forward. So it's worth keeping an eye on, in my opinion. Not financial advice though. Some projects may even look at tokenizing real-world assets through BRC-20 tokens. For example, things like gold or real estate. A lot of development, innovation, and layer 2s being added to the Bitcoin network will add more use cases in future. For example, there have even been ERC-20 tokens introduced in 2023, which aim to improve on the BRC-20 tokens, if you wanted to delve a bit deeper into this. And ordinal and BRC-20 inscriptions that take place on Bitcoin have even spread to other blockchains that you can see here from June's analytics, with Polygon having 169 million inscriptions, followed by Avalanche, BNB, etc. And this isn't financial advice, and I'm not telling anyone to invest in anything here. This is just education. But given the early adoption of BRC-20 tokens and the large narrative surrounding them, notably that they're built on the most decentralized and secure blockchain in Bitcoin, that the Bitcoin spot ETFs have now been approved, the Bitcoin halving is taking place in 2024, then we might end up seeing huge returns in the next bull run that takes place. And just for full transparency, at the time of recording this video, I don't personally hold any BRC-20 tokens and don't have any partnerships at all with any of the projects. But it is certainly something that I'll be keeping an eye on as more projects inevitably are created and things evolve. So having looked at the pros of BRC-20 tokens, what are the disadvantages of them? So as well as the increased transaction fees and time required to complete a transaction on Bitcoin that I mentioned towards the beginning of this video, it is worth mentioning that it is still relatively difficult to navigate and research BRC-20 tokens, given just how new they are. So user experience and ease of development probably isn't quite there yet, and use cases will need to be developed further to ensure value is added through BRC-20 tokens on Bitcoin. Also, Bitcoin is due to undergo a Bitcoin core update in 2024, which may have an impact on these tokens as well as ordinals, because it could look to address the perceived vulnerabilities on Bitcoin that ordinals and BRC-20 tokens have caused. And you can see here a post from December 2023 where Bitcoin core developer Luke Dasher specifically mentions inscriptions being an exploit on Bitcoin and hopes these will be addressed in version 27 of the Bitcoin core update. And finally, I'd like to highlight fungibility, which I did also mention in my previous video on ordinals, because although they're marketed as being fungible, I would argue that BRC-20 tokens are no longer fungible because they have their own tokens which are different and separate BRC-20 tokens with different names, numbers of tokens, market caps, functions and way of operating, etc. So it could be seen as a threat to Bitcoin's blockchain. And we can also link this to a potential threat of future regulation, because Bitcoin has been classified as a commodity by the US and many countries rather than a security. But what about these BRC-20 tokens that are built into Satoshis? A lot of ordinals and BRC-20 token projects have anonymous teams building them, and this could be a concern for potential regulation moving forward. So what if they find illicit activity on these, for example, and they're brought to the attention of the authorities, would be one argument. There would then be the risk of some of these being classified as securities, with Bitcoin promoter Michael Saylor, who was one of the few Bitcoin maxis to publicly support ordinals, but he did question whether they were unregistered securities. And will BRC-20 tokens be able to compete with ERC-20 tokens on Ethereum in future? Well, if you look at the development of ERC-20 tokens in time, you'll see the huge increase of use cases in the vast Ethereum and EVM ecosystem through the many DEXs, dApps, etc. So Bitcoin could end up developing in the same way. But I think it's important to note here that there's a fundamental difference in how they work, because ERC-20 tokens use smart contracts, which have more use cases than ordinal inscriptions on Bitcoin. So what does this mean for the future of BRC-20 tokens overall? Well, in my opinion, I hope this video has outlined some of the risks that investing in BRC-20 tokens could entail, because we don't know the new use cases and development that will take place in future. And it could be possible that the Bitcoin Core update will prevent it from innovating further. However, given the huge growth of them in a short period of time, if more projects with valid use cases are introduced onto Bitcoin, for example using DeFi, and the user experience continues to improve over time, then BRC-20 tokens should benefit a lot from any bull run in future, in my opinion. And therefore, there could be huge gains to be had for investors, especially if you can identify certain projects early on. Because if you look at Ethereum as an ecosystem, this took a long time to develop use cases, and I'd argue is still developing today. So the same thing could happen to Bitcoin, which is at a much earlier phase in its growth. But as always, this isn't financial advice, and please do your own research fully before you invest in anything. So that ends this video on BRC-20 tokens. But as always, I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. Are you for them or against them generally? And are there any BRC-20 token projects that you think are solid moving forward? And if you're interested in more of a tailored approach to your general crypto education, and you think you'd benefit from having someone look over your shoulder and guide you on your journey, I do offer one-to-one coaching to those who have the desire and the means to educate themselves further. And there are links in the description where you can message me and book in a free video call to see if we'd be a good fit. And if you found this content interesting, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help. And have a great day.